that and you can compare different people. And I believe this is the backgammon version of Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy.
Exactly.
Why'd you have to blow it?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were.
That's exactly where I was going. Once again, Matt, is just a fantastic backgammon player, number 5 giant in the world, and everyone knows this man, the number 1 player in the world, Falafel. And let's enjoy the election. Thank you for doing it once again, guys.
Roy, maybe if you take notes, you can become a champ.
All right, so I got about half an hour from now.
Okay, we're not gonna get any sound back here.
What I'm gonna try to do is more than a lecture. I'm gonna try to have this as like a discussion seminar. So I'm looking for a lot of audience participation. Hopefully, I can get just anybody to raise their hand or talk and.
Do you think you don't like to do?
I knew that one was becoming a lot. Anyone should feel free to chime in, intermediate, world class, anywhere in between, beginner, and I'll try to kind of play off that. I think it's better than just me talking for an hour straight.
Gotta be too.
And Falafel is going to be like kind of the guiding voice, the words of wisdom. He's going to showcase from time to time, and maybe we'll make some bets.
There you go.
So I think everybody got a handout. So this is the first position. All the positions are white on roll. So, yeah.
Hey Matt, I got a quick question before you start going into these positions. I heard something once that prime versus prime, the standard rule should be it's a double take. Is that anywhere close to a good thought, or is it not at all?
Well, hopefully you'll find out by the end of this.
Timing is everything.
This is a money game?
All these are money games, unlimited games.
Probably less than
So beginning of the match. So does anybody have an opinion?
I think White has the timing he needs, and Brown does not. So normally I love snapping up prime versus prime cubes and making my opponent cry, but I would have to let this go. Even when we fanned for a while, White has enough time to roll a 2 and a 6, I think. He only has 6 covering numbers, so best case is he chooses to run and we hit, and then we're in great shape. But I don't see that happening enough. So I'm going to let this go. I think. Of course I'll win because my opponent is going to have no idea whether it's a take or a pass. So, well, they might if they're Phil Sinborg.
I'm taking.
How many covering numbers does White have?
6 to 17, depending on if he comes out or covers.
What are you talking about? All 6 is covered.
Okay.
So,
Maybe he wants to come out. I don't know.
So, okay.
4 or 5.
So he has how many 6s? He has 17 6s, right?
Yeah.
5, 4.
6s are like 17. He has 5, 4. And
That's it.
Double
3.
three.
Double 3 is a 6.
You already counted it.
Seven sixes.
All right, that's step 1. That's step 1. And then step 2 is when you roll a 6, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Right.
Ah,
You should run, right?
I
Gun,
cover. At this stage, I cover.
Double 6 is a pro, not
Double
cover.
6 from here.
Doesn't it depend
Because
on
what I can't afford is have another checker back inside his board to get 3 out behind that 5 prime.
In this case, I don't think it's.
It wouldn't matter?
You're just trying to win the game. Again, you want to make the best play.
Yeah.
Anyone have any opinion? Cover, run?
Cover.
What's the idea?
I think they're all double take.
All double take? They're not all double take.
What's that all 6-5?
Yeah, 6-5.
I'll jump them down to the 6.
Yeah, with 6. Yeah. That's the reason five maybe jump. But
I'll jump
Well,
down to the six.
White does it. So let me give you guys a reference. So this is one reference position that like pretty much everyone should know or have some idea. People pretty much.
The record, I'm just
Anybody
clueless
know
on this
this
one
one?
as the other.
What?
I'm just clueless on this one as the other.
Does anybody know this one? Has anybody read my
That would be no.
No.
Does anyone remember? Double take.
It is a redouble and a pretty big take. It's worth like 913. So let's see, what are the differences between this position and the other position?
Hey Matt, before you continue,
Yeah.
we are streaming this so people around the world can watch it, and they're saying that you're not quite loud enough. I know that's a surprise to you. So if you could bring it up a notch.
Yeah, what if we move the computer closer? Will that help?
Probably.
Right now, if they move the computer closer, that would help.
Don't move this closer.
Can you see?
It's a,
Oh, that computer.
I'm gonna try and.
But I guess the camera, yeah, it's up to the camera. It's the camera off. I'm not holding this tournament for those people who
Okay,
didn't
go ahead,
come.
Matt. Go,
Holding
keep
this
going.
tournament for us.
Matt, just keep going.
All right. I hope you guys can see. Anyway,
There you go. Give me the words.
all right. So what are the differences between this and the other position? What are the pluses for white? Okay, you don't have both of them at the edge.
Black's
You
closed up.
You don't have a closed board.
black's closed out. You don't have a closed board, but
You've
on the
got
other
more
hand,
checkers in the outfield.
you have more timing. You have much more timing and anything else?
Your sixes are good.
You don't have a closed board.
What about black's position?
Black doesn't have any direct shots in the other position.
That's true.
Doesn't have any what? Direct shot. Direct shots.
Anything else about black's position? Anyone?
Does his timing work?
Timing's better. Why is his timing better?
In the air. Because he may not have to play a lot of his shake.
His prime is further back. Okay, his prime is much further back. So he wins a few more games, but he loses a lot more gammons when he gets closed out.
In other words, there's nothing about this position that's similar to the other position.
There's some similarities. I mean, the thing about the prime being further back is it's kind of dominated by the other factors that we mentioned, but you know, it has some significance.
Yay.
Matt.
All right, we'll try this.
Better. Okay.
Any opinions for stick?
He's sleeping.
So,
Tennis,
do you have anything to say, Falafel?
To the mic.
Mike.
Well, you know, a lot of times trying to figure something like this out, you know, for me, it's always the question of what do I have to accomplish, and that sort of make my answer also easier. The problem here is that you're not at the edge of the prime, it's true, but then you gain by having the timing, so you don't crunch. But the other part is that you haven't covered the deuce point. And once you can see that when you roll a 6 and you're not 100% sure which way you're gonna go for starters, that should like ring some bells and tell you that this has to be a take. You know, there should be a take, because certainly a lot of equity is gonna come when white does not roll a 6 or whatever, he doesn't cover, and then black just rolls a deuce. So just trying to think along those lines can make your job easier over the board in terms of deciding which way you're going to go. And that is the answer, right? That is a double take.
No, that's not the answer.
Oh.
I got it
Yeah,
wrong.
that's it is a problem.
But I guess you guys want to see the answer. This is one of my favorite positions because I really didn't. When this came up, I really didn't
Oh, it's
understand.
a no
It's a
double.
big no double. Even for money with the cube in the center and Jacoby, there's just not enough. And when I started to analyze it more and get into it a bit more, I was kind of able to understand what was going on that would make it a no double. You know, certainly the 17 times that white doesn't cover, and then black can just roll a deuce, are big, but there's some other stuff going on. So there's we'll look at some of these. When white rolls when white rolls 6-3 and black fans, now he has a take. So there's not really that much market loss. You know, if you remember,
And that's the right play for 6-3
Right.
cover.
it's close.
It's close to the right play, but it ain't.
Covering is the right play. Yeah.
Oh.
Covering is right by a lot, and the 3 is very close. You definitely have to cover with all the 6s because you can't just like give black an opportunity to roll a deuce, especially when you have 29 pips to play with before you have to crack.
Okay.
So there's that. If we compare this to the other reference position I showed earlier, of course, black's prime is further back, but white has more timing, but he's not at the edge. And so that's kind of one of the things you should be thinking about is that reference position from earlier, you know, white not being at the edge is pretty big.
Hold
So
it.
he wins a few more games.
I just wanted to add something. I know I really botched this up. But the thing is that often enough we play off of each other. You know, I tell him that, you know, he doesn't have any vision. He's not creative. You know,
He's a lot.
he's more like a robot. And this is definitely robotic. Bob says that, well, it's not a double. Well, you know, I beg to differ. You know? I mean, I know at least there's one person in the room, which is Ben, who was not even taken. You know, a lot of times, you know, these positions don't come every day. So one of the things, you can certainly get your percentage of passes from doubling this cube. So, you know, it doesn't matter to me what the bot says per se. Okay, it's technically right, but I think the right idea is to double over the board because you are going to get some passes, enough to swing it for a double. Okay?
How often do you need to get a pass to make it right?
Snowy would have like a normalist point.
22%. 22%.
Okay.
This is with white holding the cube. This isn't with the cube in the center. Yeah, go ahead.
I found this easy for 2 reasons. Number one is I've got XG on my iPhone now, and I can analyze it. But really, I got a lesson on this from John O'Hagan, which is real simple.
Who?
John O'Hagan, is he here?
Never heard of it.
No? Okay. John O'Hagan came up with O'Hagan's Law of Market Losers, which says if you have 25% market losers, you double, and here you don't have close to that. Almost no matter what you roll, he's taking.
Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of thought about that rule, and it's certainly an interesting rule and something we'll kind of touch on maybe.
I've tried it with at least 100 different prime versus prime positions, and it works almost every time.
It's not going to work every time with these.
No, not every time.
But
Almost isn't.
you know, I do agree with what Falafel said. You know, certainly there's a lot of room for practical doubles, even when the bot says it's no double. But you know, here it's like, I mean, I would probably double certain players and not double others. But you know, I also have to understand like the nature of the position. And like when I played this out against the bot the first time it came up, I really didn't understand what was going on. And then you know, as I played it out more and I analyzed it more, I began to understand kind of why it's just such a big no double.
I think that another thing to think about is White's going to have all the checker players, and if you don't even know whether you're going to cover or run,
Yeah, that's something you should definitely.
Black's going to play perfectly.
Yeah.
So after cover and fan, it's a small pass. This is after just a 6, 5-1, or 4-2. And then
And that's because of the 4 less pips to play with?
the 3 less pips, yeah. You have 3 more pips of timing, and it swings at about 100. About 100. And then 6-1 fan is almost the same. So you have 1 less pip, but now you're slotted on the bar point. You can make the bar point with a 4, or if he comes in on the ace, you know. So in general, you're happier having played 8 to 7. As we're gonna see, if you roll a deuce, if you roll like 2-5 in eye fans, now it's a close take. Again, because now you have about 27 numbers that cover. 27 numbers that cover, and you know, if you don't cover, black can roll deuce, of course. But no, we still haven't hit on one of the main things about this position.
If you rolled a 4-2 in the original position, would you still cover?
Yes.
All 6.
All 6.
All 6 you're going to cover.
I mean, you really cannot give black an opportunity to roll a deuce and just.
Right.
When black rolls a deuce, it's like a massive turnaround, you know. Black is like a big favorite.
It's not that
it's
bad
not.
actually, because
It's not.
if you keep your 8 points and,
Yeah, it depends on
and
the-
if black anchors on the deuce, then he may have hard time escaping with these 2 guys if you keep the 8 point.
That's true.
How
Yeah.
long?
Then he can crash from.
Yeah,
I think there's another rule of thumb that helps a lot know that you would cover. When you, in the original position, when you had a checker, when white has a checker on his ace point, according to the statistics, it takes an average of 6 rolls to get that checker up and out. And it looks like you've got about that many rolls or more.
Yeah, and if you roll a 6, you're gonna have some more time to play with, so that's something. But the other thing about this position is white can cover, white can roll a deuce, and he still has nothing if black just rolls an ace. I mean, you know, the ace point is open, white doesn't have a closed board. So black can roll double aces, which is really strong, or he can just roll any ace. So let's give white his best 6-2, and then black rolls an ace. So white rolls 2-6 and comes up and covers. Black rolls an ace, and it's double take. And basically, if white rolls anything less than 6-2 and black rolls an ace, you know, now black is going to be playing a counter priming game. You know, he's all of a sudden he's got you know, a roll to come in and hit loose off the 3-point. So I'll go back to the original position for you.
So the answer is not to get into these games at all.
That certainly is one option. But yeah, besides the non-covering deuce sequences, there's also the non-covering ace sequences. And now white's kind of in a bit of trouble, especially with black holding the cube. And then there's just the cover ace sequences, or deuce ace sequences, where, you know, now black can just come in and hit loose off the 3-point, or he can just come in and slot the 3-point. And if black happens to make the 3-point, you know, he's got white out timed. So not having a closeout is pretty big. Even though you have less timing, you kind of like to have the closeout because it just prevents black from counterplaying. You know, obviously the direct shot is like a really big turn. Okay, I'm gonna move on unless anybody else has anything. Yeah. 9 more.
Just let you know.
Not in the time.
At this point, you're averaging less than 10 minutes per position. If you want to spend more time, you're just going to not be able to get through all of them. Just let you know.
Yeah. I think this one showed.
Rory's got the sheet. We don't need one there.
This one I know the answer to.
I
The
think
reason-
this one may have showed that.
This one is I know the answer to because I got it wrong.
It's from one of his games.
Yeah.
But yeah, does someone have opinions here?
Everything works.
Everything works.
Oh, it's a good start.
Got fives, fives and
You
ones.
mean
For what?
all his numbers play? Well, a 5 is not so good, maybe.
Yeah.
The 5 at least,
Five is
you can
also-
make the 8 point or,
5, 2,
or
and 5,
inner
5,
point.
2, and 5, 3 make points.
5-1.
All twos and threes.
All 2s, 3s, 4s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 8s. All 6s is 8.
Okay, so what happens if white makes his 5 point? Black still has a 5 prime.
Black usually rolls 2, 6, and 5.
Then he'd only get 1 down.
Okay.
I think it's a monster pass.
I'm gonna say one.
That was
What do you say, Rick?
They showed it.
So say white makes the 5 point and black rolls a 2 or black rolls a 3 or something like that, or black rolls 3-2 even. What's
wait.
typically gonna happen?
Oh, it could be no double.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there.
No, I just realized there was a cube already active, so maybe it's too good.
Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe it's not too good.
Other cube action you want to cover?
I think it's a beaver.
Depends on where you are on the sheet.
Where I got the sheet.
If you're down on the sheet, it's a take.
So what's typically gonna happen after white covers? What's going on in the position?
White covers
I mean,
and spread
There are
builders.
there are a few rolls that don't cover, you know.
Yes.
Double 5s, 5-1, 6-1, 6-5, double 6.
But you can hit and lift.
Double 6 is great.
Double 6 is 6-1, you can hit and lift.
Huh?
6-1 hit and lift.
Yeah, yeah. 6-1 is.
It's not a bad one.
6-1 is not bad.
Of course.
I think it's just 6-5 and 5-5. They're really
6-5, 5-5, and 5-1 is probably the worst.
Yeah, 5-1.
Once you get lift, side
Yeah.
one, avoid the direct shot.
So what's going on after white covers? Say white just rolls like a 5-2 and makes the 5 point.
Black's
They
gonna,
just diversify the loads and try to make other points.
right, black's gonna enter one most likely.
Black's most likely going to enter
And
one.
then you're either gonna have to, you're either gonna have to
Sometimes he
attack,
attacks.
which can be a little bit risky with that board. Or you're gonna have to distribute your builders, take the Bulgarian approach and hope that he doesn't anchor.
Or why roll 6? Still roll 6.
And
White
hope he
can
doesn't
roll
anchor.
6. Yeah. Okay, if white rolls a 6, what's going on? Yeah, you hit him. But what's going on in the position?
Then you're too good.
Yeah, you're like way too good.
This is a place for Friesen's Law, for sure. If you're
Friesen's Law.
not sure if you're too good or not good enough, just double.
That's a good one, actually. I'm gonna keep that one.
It's Friesen's Law.
All right, so let's say we double. Is it a take? Is it a pass?
Yes.
Opinions? Yes.
Certainly.
I would take it.
I think it's a take.
It depends on who you play.
Depends on who you
Play
play.
card, if you
That's
play
certainly
Carter,
reasonable.
I will double. He will probably take.
Well, let's see. Let's just see.
This is another place where Rockwell's statement applies that black's not going to misplay his checkers.
This is a pretty big. I mean, it's a pretty fair-sized pass. It's not like a huge pass, but it's a fairly clear pass.
032?
103.
I still don't get it.
Well, what's going to happen when white makes the 5 point? is black's basically going to come in, and then white's usually going to make the 8 or make the 7, and now he's going to have a 5 prime. And how are black's numbers going to play after that?
A couple of them will play real well.
Black doesn't have any timing. So, black's, even though white has made the ace point, white only has a 2.5 prime, and black has a 5 prime. White's actually kind of got black out primed. Black's more likely to crunch than white is, because white has much more timing and black really doesn't have any timing. And the other thing is white has an anchor. So black's awkward rolls are going to play really badly. Say he comes in with 2-6 and then rolls another 2-6 from the bar or something like that. Or if he rolls, if you happen to make the 8 points and then he comes in with a 3-5 or something like that and rolls another 5. Black's position can really get obliterated. Black doesn't have an anchor. Yeah.
Right?
It just seems to me like this is a typical position. 1.032.
1.1.
1.1032.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
1.1.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that first black is not going to make too many mistakes because he's just he either comes in or he doesn't. The white can make mistakes. Seems like it's an easy position to play, but you don't have to lose that much equity. A little bit here, a little bit there, and then maybe he takes a bad fork.
There are some checker plays. You certainly don't want to hit loose inside your board when black has a 5-point board.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just trying to prime him, especially. The thing is, with your anchor, his awkward rolls really obliterate his board. Whereas, since black doesn't have an anchor, when white rolls an awkward number, now he can hit loose if he doesn't have anything else to play, or he can point on black a lot of the time. When he rolls an awkward number and doesn't have any timing left to play with. Black's awkward rolls are gonna really crunch his prime.
Do we know the answer if the checker on the 8 was on the 9? So that
It's on
he
the
doesn't
9,
get hit
you don't
with
have
the
a
direct
direct
6? Yeah, that could
swing.
that could just be enough to make it a take. Oh god. Oh, look what happened.
The gammons went way down, and of course the wins also. But now, of course, white has a lot of bad rolls. 6-1.
Yeah.
6.
6-1 hit.
That,
Oh yeah. 6-1.
of course,
hits,
he
but
doesn't
it
hit.
doesn't lift.
Yeah.
6-5 is the biggest swing, I think.
Right. Yeah, and also when black comes in with a 6, now we can actually play it. That's
That would do it.
else.
Okay.
Alright.
Next.
Okay, white on roll. Similar game to the last one. Anybody?
Has to be a double, doesn't it?
Has to be a double.
Has to be a double based on the last one.
Has to be no double based on the last one.
Because white's not shooting it, because we saw what happened when white's not shooting it a lot anymore, and now he's playing on the build 4 prime instead of 5 prime. It's a lot worse than the last. This is closer to the position where you move the checker back than the original position.
That's true. White has only one checker base.
Last year's no one matters.
There's no
But almost
problem
has
with
to
the
be- almost has to
timing.
be a double.
There's no problem with the timing. Anybody else?
Double take.
I double take.
Well, it's nice that the ones that don't win them.
Yeah, I'm now
15 pointing numbers.
You have to double because you might get dropped.
You have to double because you might get drops. That's
Woolsey's law tells you you have to double.
reasonable. That's definitely something you want to be considering. You know, of course, it always depends on who you're playing and other considerations. But yeah, you definitely want to be doubling positions that look like drops.
There's plenty of threats in the position, so the double should be like routine.
I can't pass this. I'm not passing the first one. I can't pass this. I see ways for black.
And even if you don't make the 5 point, let's say you roll 6 or an ace, at least you are creating a 4 prime, which is good. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
You are creating
I'm
a
talking
4
about the worst numbers. So still a 4 point, like
So you may have to hit loose. You know, what hits loose? Is there any number that hits loose?
Most of the big passes, I don't.
What do you do with 6-5?
Yeah.
6-5
I'm not making
is
the 4 prime.
interesting.
Come out and cover.
6-2 of course.
Hope you don't get hit on the ace, on the 7-pointer, the 10-pointer.
Well, you can cover and hit loose.
Covering.
Yeah.
that's probably right.
Alright, we're gonna have to. So it's a pretty big no redouble on this one. And, 0.148.
It does look. I would always double.
It does look scary, but well, the thing is, there's gonna be a lot of turnarounds for black. Like anytime black rolls a 5 to anchor up, or if white happens to lose with like a 6-2 or a 6-5 or something, and then black hits back, it's like a really big swing. And here if black comes in, white doesn't rate to make the 5 point nearly as often as he did in the last position. Here he's got 15 numbers that make it, as opposed to like 30 or whatever it was. When white doesn't make the 5 point, now black can just come in. White can escape the last checker sometimes, but if he doesn't, black is gonna hit him loose on the deuce point, like any 4 or 6, if he hasn't escaped by then. And the turnarounds are pretty brutal when they do happen. So I'm gonna actually show you guys how to look at this stuff.
So Matt, the only numbers you would come out with in this are 5, 5, 1, and 5, 6, right? Everything else you're gonna.
5-1 you would hit for sure. You can hit and lift.
Yeah.
5-6 is like an interesting one.
5, 6, I think you would come out and make the 4 prime.
No.
I think XG is hitting loose.
No, I would
with
say-
5-6 you hit loose.
Yeah.
Make the 4 prime. and-
Falafel was right that time.
So this is XG's dice distribution window. I don't know.
Double 5s is the worst.
I don't know if
the
a lot of
best.
people know about this one. Yeah, double 5s is the best. You can see the best roll is the worst roll is the average. This is under analyze dice distribution.
Matt, one comment there, always hit 3 ply before looking at it, because right now it's in 1 ply and it's not that reliable.
So
when you go
yeah,
to
this is 3 ply. I usually hit 4 ply.
Hit
That's
something,
okay.
but just for the sake of anybody who goes here, don't just look at it without hitting a ply.
Right.
Otherwise, you're looking at 1 ply, which is very unreliable.
I usually like to do it if I'm looking at a cube decision. I check this box after double take. So this is after white has redoubled and black has taken. And these are all white's rolls. You can see market losers 32.3%. But what I'm going to be interested in is I'm going to go over here to flat. And this is going to show all the sequences. So these are the best sequences. Double 5's fan. And anything that's over 1.0 is going to be a market loser. I select all those, you can see 32.3% of the time, white loses market, 32.3%. The average market loss is 1.36. That's it's actually probably not that big, considering that most market losing sequences, if they're like big market losses, you know, here they're over 2, here it's 1.8. So, you know, on a good sequence, a lot of the time it's going to be well over 1.4. And then we're going to look at the turnarounds, and already you can see -3s, -2s. So this is all the equities that are under 0. And you can see 22.1% of the time black turns it around. His average equity is plus 1.5 or so. So what that means is like a lot of the time that, say, 6-3, white hits loose, black hits back with double 2s, double 3s, he hits back with a 5. Black is like too good. You know, white has 4 or 5 blots, and now black's like a big favorite to win a gammon. So like 15 to 20% of the time, black's gonna be like playing on. So this is why it's such a big no double. You really want to be careful in a situation where, you know, you have like 4 blots and don't have an anchor. You only have a 3-point board, black is a 5-point board.
And what happens if we just put the spare from the 7 to the 6? Now for sure it's a double. And now now it could be a pass. Just like that. I think it could be a pass. Makes a big difference, that extra ace to point.
I think it should be a take. The six is really bad for white.
That's the only thing, yeah. Oh, it's a big take.
Yeah, 6 is like really, really bad.
Oh wow, it's not even a double.
It's very double.
Not even a double. Wow. Scary.
You can kind of see, you know, if you guys want to look at this in the distribution, you can kind of see white's worst rolls.
How the numbers breaks up to
They're all the 6s, and the 6s aren't that good equity. And if we go back to flat, we can do after double take, we'll look at the market losers. Now, of course, you have 50% market losers. But the turnarounds, they're all still -3s, -2s. These are like really, really big when black does happen to turn it around. Now it's only 16% instead of 22%, but I mean, when black turns it around, he's still just playing on. Yeah. Yeah, let's do this. White is on roll again. Anybody have any opinions about what's going on? Double take. Or you know, what is going on in this position, basically?
White never has anybody on the bar. White's very lucky.
They're all
10.
They're all for matches, and that doesn't get hit.
I envision backgammon, 1-3 backgammon going.
And they got this one wrong as well.
So far, Falafel is 0 for 4.
Is that how you chose these?
Yes. Huh?
Is that how you chose the positions?
Some of them.
They're mostly positions that I got wrong. But, you know. Okay, so holding game, small potential, bad game.
If black makes his back game, he's not going to have great timing. So
No,
even
he's
if
not
he's
far with
successful, he's in trouble.
Black's nowhere
That's true.
close
It's a
to
good
it.
starting point.
How
Very
about,
good. Very good.
It's not
so
a
black's really not going backwards.
He
What about
can create timing. Trust me.
That is the problem.
It is very
That is the problem.
difficult
When you have to
to-
create timing, that's a problem.
It is very difficult to create timing from this position. You
depends
can
on
kind
who
of see the relative midpoints. Black has only 2 checkers on his midpoint. White has 4 checkers on his midpoint. You know, if you want to play a back game, you're going to have at least 4 men back. So you need to have the other 11 checkers make a prime somehow. And here, Black really doesn't have the timing to keep all that. So he's going to have to play this going forward. How about Black's forward chances?
3 points.
Yeah.
Not good.
Definitely.
Gammons is
There are some gammons in here for you. What do I?
Don't you need about 80, 90 pips timing to have a really well-timed 1-3 or 2-3 back game? And you're so far from that. That's why I would be afraid to take it.
Yeah, you can't.
You haven't even
can't play
anchored.
this as a back
You
game,
haven't even anchored.
really. I mean, you can make a double anchor, and you know, making a double anchor is pretty strong actually. But you know, it's still not going to be a back game. You're just going to come off one of the anchors. So
That will lead to the answer, right? What is the answer?
I think you're
Double
too
drop.
drop.
okay, it is a double pass.
Yay! I got one right.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
But White's best rolls are actually going to be the numbers that make the ace point. So double 3s is going to be like his third best roll after double 6, obviously, and 6-5. You know, when White makes his ace point, Black has really a lot of problems in the position. You know, Black. The thing about this position is it's really hard for Black to turn it around. He can make a double anchor, and that is certainly good enough to leave him with the take. It's only like a small pass. So if Black basically just comes in, you know, if he makes the 9 point, he has a take. If he, you know, comes in and hits the forward checker, he has an easy take. But he's never really turning this around to be like a big favorite in any given period of time. And when it goes bad, he can just get gammon. So the turnarounds here are very small. In contrast to say the last one. Alright, let's see. Up to 5. So this one, this is like a kind of prime versus prime thing. That's on a roll.
White's got better timing.
It does have better timing. White does have better timing. Does Black have any advantages?
Ice and 6s, 8s.
Finally not on the bar.
He's not on the bar.
It's good if he goes a 5 or a 6.
His 5s and 6s to come out. Black has a stronger board, so when Black rolls a 5 or a 6, now he can kind of use his board to his advantage.
Dead checker on the ace.
Dead checker on the ace point. Okay. That's kind of bad, yeah. Having 3 checkers behind White's anchors. Yeah.
Black has racing advantage.
Black has, Black is up like 30 pips, so if he can just come out and race, he has a decent game.
He also loses his board on small doubles.
That's true. Double 3s are like the worst. Double 4s are also pretty bad.
Yeah.
Some other numbers. Pretty much any number that doesn't contain a 6, 5, or an ace.
Right.
After White rolls is going to be pretty bad. So there's 6, 5s, and aces are 27 numbers. So 9 numbers for Black are going to start to really like crack pretty badly.
Double drop.
Double drop.
What White is on?
Echo takes, but I'm in trouble.
I'm taking.
Take.
I've taken a lot of
I'm
them.
taking.
I know. And you turn around?
This weekend.
Well, I mean, what are White's threats really? I mean, Black and crack, that's one threat.
But white has also some threats like the double threes, double sixes, and even a 6-5 is pretty strong. And 6-1, double one,
And double five.
and double fives. So on roll immediately he has a bunch of rolls.
Eight
And
numbers.
And the other side of that is that when black doesn't really roll a 5 or a 6, and now he's gonna have like a good pass, I guess, if he doesn't do that.
The ace can give him a take, but
How do you play double three, Flop?
Oh, double 3, I would just make the prime and let him crunch, I think. Yeah, I think I would just make the prime and let him crunch.
He's not gonna crunch that roll, you're gonna crunch if you don't roll 6 or 5.
Well, he's gonna roll first. I'm gonna give him a roll.
He can play almost everything. He doesn't have to play 6s. He can play
Well,
5s.
I'm gonna. Well, if you make, well, you can make the deuce, I guess, and then it's kind of tough to like close the guy out, I guess.
Well, if he's gonna have to roll first, and then something's gonna give, and then you can kind of, when you break, you know, the Roberti saying is like the 6 primes are so strong because when you break them, you still have a 5 prime. So if you can just hit loose off the deuce, or make the deuce, or just break, and then black usually breaks more, and you know he's usually playing without at least a 6 point. So that's just gonna be like pretty good. Double threes are like second best, I guess. After
Is
double
that right to
sixes.
make the bar? Double
It
three?
is right.
I have a guess.
Yeah.
I think it's no double, and I think if you go to dice distribution, you won't see 25% market losers.
Okay.
That's what I originally thought too.
So let's see.
But that's assuming that XG understands the
It is a pretty big
the
redouble
John's rule.
and a pretty big take. And we'll see the market losers. There's about 60% market losers. There's somewhere 55%.
Proving my point.
That you don't know how to assess,
Right,
that you know how to interpret.
right.
Well,
You interpret
we
the
already
result.
I
said
got the knowledge,
there are
right,
like
the skill roll.
there are like 8 numbers where white is pretty much losing his market when he rolls double 3, double 6, etc.
Then a bunch more on when
And
black
then,
rolls.
then on the other 28, when black doesn't roll a 6 or a 5,
That's a
so
loss.
that's 16 times 28. So we should be able to see that there's definitely more than 25%. A numbers is already almost 25%. Close to 50.
How do you play
And
double
of course,
four?
there aren't really that many.
You have to swear.
There are some turnarounds for black, but most of the time he's just going to try to run. And if he rolls a 6 or a 5, he has a pretty good game. He can use it forward.
First.
I was impressed. I thought you were more gammon.
No,
That's why you don't.
You don't have too many threats.
That's
why
the thing.
you need a couple more threats.
White really doesn't win that many gammons in this position. It's really black only has 2 blots and no other guys outside. And white's board is weaker, so winning a gammon is pretty far off.
So Petco was ready too.
All right, this is number 6. White is on roll. White has a 6 prime, black has a 5 prime.
White rolls double two. No problem.
Rolls double 2s. Double 2s are a good roll.
2-5 rolls good now.
2-5 is better than double 2s.
Yeah.
2-5 is the best, I guess. Alright, what's going on here?
Double take.
Double take.
I take.
Double take. We double take.
I take.
What are the market losers?
Any two.
An 8-2.
Double fives for
What's
white.
gonna happen after an 8-2? Black's gonna have to play 6s, right?
He's already lost his market.
He's already lost his market. We can certainly, one thing is in XG, I kind of talk about market losing sequences, but I can still do that even if black already has a pass. Like if there's, if there's like 50% market losing sequences, but 50% of the time he has a take, so we kind of talk about market losing sequences even though black's got a pass already. So, alright. Is this most people taking this? How about this position? Is this better for black? Worse for black? Move this guy from the 7 to the 5. Much better? Much worse?
Worse.
Much better for white.
Five's worse.
Much better for white.
5 breaks the prime. Black has more numbers to make his 3-point, but 5 breaks the prime. What other numbers? Is there another number? Black?
Four is worse. 6 is after 2.
Huh? Oh yeah, 6 after 2, but even, it really doesn't swing it that much because 2 followed by 6 is
Double 4, double 3 or more.
double 3, but those were better, right? So, pretty much transpose. What about the other 4s?
Oh, we can.
You can leave a blot on the 7, but you would rather have the blot on the 3. You don't want to get white a 6 to come out because 6s are his worst number. So the 4 is pretty bad for black here. In the other position, the 4 was actually like kind of an okay roll. So let's see, this one is a borderline pass. And the other position, the original position, is like an easy take. Well, the thing is, when white doesn't roll 2, so what are white's bad numbers?
Big doubles don't play too well.
Big doubles don't play very well at all. Double 5s is really bad.
Yeah.
6-5 is pretty bad. Whenever white rolls a 6 and has to slot his deuce point, and black rolls an ace, that's pretty big.
Why would he slide?
You should slot with a 6-5 if you're all 6-5.
If you roll like a 6-5, if you roll like a 6-2, or not a 6-2.
6-5, you're supposed to slot the deuce?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Some of the aces are duplicated too.
Because
Three ply has it as a 10% error to slot.
You don't have to even break your 5 prime.
Well,
Is it? With 6-5?
10% error.
Right.
To do what?
You still have a 5 prime is not at the edge.
Where's 6-5? Yes, no, 6-5 slots.
6-1 it slots, 6-3 it
Yeah, it's
slots.
slots.
It slots on all the 6s.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is basically, say you don't slot. What's going to happen now? We'll say black rolls an ace.
He's got both aces.
If black rolls an ace and you haven't slotted, you're still in trouble. He can split, or if he rolls 4-1 or 3-1, he can make the 3-point. So even if he rolls like 5-1 and splits, now you're on roll, and now your 6s and 5s are going to put black on the bar. So that's why slotting is so much better here. Pretty much anytime black can just not play, 6s are killed. So if he rolls like a 6-4 or any number that makes the 3 points or splits, he's got like an easy take.
6 is
this one, we'll do this one. So white is on roll. This is another one that I didn't really understand. As I played it out more against the bot, I started understanding it less and less. But
that happens to you too?
yeah. Falafel kind of figured some stuff out, but I'll give him a little bit of credit for that. Anybody have any opinions on this one? Black's not in the bargain. That's
I'll go double take.
double take. Not so fun take.
Pass.
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 Okay, what's going on in this position? What's the reason for a pass? Or take,
We have
whatever?
threats to close him out.
We have a threat to close him out, yes.
If you don't roll a 6, you attack.
What?
If you don't roll a 6,
If you
you
don't
attack,
roll a 6,
you
you
attack
attack.
the guy.
Every roll.
But
Yeah, you have sixes to come out, fives and fours that would hit loose,
Right,
right?
6s, 5s, and 4s. So every roll except
2-1 is
for
not good.
2-1 is gonna hit. Yep. Okay.
Double ones we switch points, right?
Yeah, double
Yeah.
yeah. Switch points. Pretty much every roll other than 2-1 plays.
Big shake.
So 2-1 is pretty bad. What else? Well, the thing is, when white loses his market, pretty much any roll where white hits loose and black doesn't hit back is a market loss. Anytime he comes out with a 6 and black doesn't hit back is a market loss. Anytime he makes the ace point, it's obviously a market loss. And this is like a pretty clear no redouble, but
Yes.
so, you know, there's a lot of market losing sequences here. There's certainly more than 25%. As it turns out, there's actually about 70%. And it's still a pretty clear no double. And actually,
O'Hagan's law applies to the initial double one.
actually, with the cube in the center and Jacoby, it's still no double. It's pretty close, but it is no double. Alright, very close.
Yeah.
Would it be a double with cube in the center?
If you got attack, you can attack.
Right.
If he rolls 6, you can roll 6.
Right.
So always you have some.
So if he rolls a 6 and you hit him in the outfield, or if you roll double 6s, you're pretty much at a better than a claim you're playing on. If he rolls say he rolls a number that hits loose like 3-2, and now you hit back with an ace, it's a pretty big turnaround. Certainly if you hit back with like ace 5 or double ace or ace 4, and he doesn't hit back with a 3, now you're too good. So there's going to be a lot of the turnarounds that happen are really, really bad again. White doesn't have the gammon threat. You know, White's just threatening to win the game. He wins 70% of the time, so he wins quite a bit of the time. But when the turnarounds are play-ons, it's pretty bad when it does turn around.
Matt, there's something I don't understand about the numbers there.
Yeah.
Usually it says that it's okay to double if you can get a drop 2.2% of the time. Usually when you have a low percentage like that, the mistake to double is like 0.02 or something like that. Here it's pretty big. It's a blunder.
This one is
No,
pretty
no.
small.
It's usually
It's the same.
Oh, okay.
0.08.
0.08.
It's the same.
Okay.
That was with the cube in the center. It's like 0.05 when
On the reshoot.
on the reshoot. But we're gonna kind of. We're gonna kind of go through these pretty quickly. This one is a no redouble take, and the idea here is basically White has the open 4-point. So certainly when White rolls a 6, Black can come back with a hitting 4, and when White doesn't roll a 6 and Black rolls a 4, it's very strong for Black. When White doesn't roll a 6, his position's usually just going to get worse. So only like the 6th fan is really like a market loss. Even if he rolls a 2-1 and makes the 4-point, Black can still take. And there's like a lot of turnarounds here, just because White doesn't roll a 6 and then Black rolls a 4, and it's like almost a claim for Black. This one is somewhat similar to the last position. You know,
Except you have a bar.
right? You have
And
one on the
slide.
bar. Huh?
One on the bar and slide, so now you have a chance to put a second one on the bar.
Right. So, yeah, there's still the open point to come in and anchor on, but a lot of white's rolls are going to hit a second checker, and a lot of black's losses are gammons. Black can certainly turn it around if white hits loose and black hits back with a 3.
White has more time to roll 6.
Yeah, white has more time to roll 6 also, but
Some of these rolls are pretty short.
this one is going to be a pretty huge pass. Almost too good. You know, the thing is, 39% of white's wins are gammons. So unlike the other position, you know, here when white just hits loose, and black doesn't hit back, it's like really, really big. You know, black's basically just hoping to get to a position where he can take, rather than.
The difference here is that a lot of white's wins are gammons. A lot of his wins. As opposed to the other positions that we've seen earlier, a lot of the wins were not gammons. This was 38%, the other were like 17 or something. It's a big difference.
And here's the last one. So white is on roll. This is another favorite of mine. Skip it?
Oh,
Can we roll 6-2?
No.
Just show me the way, right?
Here's the answer. Everybody know the answer.
Here's the answer.
2 minutes.
Okay. Even with white holding the cube, this is like a fair-sized redouble. And even with yeah, basically white doesn't have that many market losses actually. He only loses in market if he rolls a 6 or if he rolls double 5s. But when he does, they're really, really big. You know, black can't respond basically. Like anytime white rolls one of those 12 numbers, black has like no numbers that give him a take. It's just like totally crunching. And black can certainly turn it around, but you know, white can also just roll a 5. So say white rolls a 5 and black rolls a 6. You know, if white can come in, he's got some outfield control. So white is like a favorite, and it's kind of a last roll thing where white just wants to kind of jack it up. Even if he's holding the cube, it's still like a pretty clear redouble. And even if we move like a spare from the ace to the 4 point, it's still like a pretty clear double. Here when white fans, of course, black has some really bad rolls, 4-3, 5-3, 4-2, etc. But the volatility is just too high when white rolls a 6 or double 5s.
So the big takeaway from this lecture is if you're playing online in particular, you should be using extreme gambling.
Well,
Only if it's for money.
Yeah, for money.
one of the main things you want to consider is how many market losing sequences you have, how big they are, and the immediate turnarounds. We call them ITAs. You know, 2-roll sequences and how bad those are.
Hey guys, I just want to send a big thank you out to Falafel and Matt for putting this together. Fantastic job. I also want to thank everyone here. Yesterday we did get 5 full rounds of Swiss in. It was a very efficient day. Intermediate division's going well. We will fill 16 qualifier brackets and have a perfect 16-player playoff bracket starting at 5 p.m. this evening. And I